Got a very interesting vehicle today. This is a 2024 Lexus. This is the TX. This is their 3-row. However, this is not the 350 or more of the entry level. This is the top of their lineup. TX 550 H Plus, and what that H Plus means is that this is a plug-in hybrid. This is Indiana built. Lexus has finally answered the demand for a big 3-row crossover. They also have the GX out there. That's a body on frame. This is not for off-roading. This is for families. This is for when you need a lot of space. Now, even if you are not a 3-row crossover fan, or you are, but you don't have the coin to purchase something this expensive at like $82,000, I'll put the price up there. Stay with us though, because this is a very, very fascinating and interesting vehicle. Now, overall styling, this is a big box. This will age well. It's got some subtle styling cues, but this is one of those cars, you're driving a Lexus, but you're not going to stand out. Lexus gets a lot of love and hate for its front end. I think it works very, very well here, how they've done this. And you got just enough chrome. You got these fancy 22s. And other features just to set it off from the Grand Highlander. So we do have a kick to open, even though it's locked. It works every time very, very well. And this is the key to both the Grand Highlander and the TX. Almost minivan competitive space behind this 3rd row. Now, as a hybrid, you do not get any kind of spare back here. You just get a fix-a-flat kit. And you also get this nice little feature here, 1,500 watts of power. That's an awesome feature of this plug-in hybrid. And you get these power folding rear seats. Just push those down, get them going. Get about 20 some cubic feet behind the rear seats. Plenty for whatever you need to carry, unless it's a big trip. Really wide opening, and you can see the 3rd row passengers are treated pretty well. Well, you do have an auto recline there. You have USB-C, nice cup holders, nice air vents. Now, if you do have the key on you, you can open and unlock one here, or it also is active on the rear passenger seats, which is a great feature. And there is no handle. There's no like pull thing. There's just a little button in here, and you'll also see that on the inside. If you want to open, you just grab your handle, put your thumb in, and open the door, or you can pull it as a sort of a backup mechanical, but that's just adds to the overall vibe and luxury. Now, I can also drop these 2nd row seats, hold this down, and there we go. Overall, these doors do open decently wide. They're not 90 degrees or anything. Of course, you have your sunshade back here. But let's climb into the back, because that's easy enough to do. And as you've seen, if you watched any other videos on the Grand Highlander, this is a selling point. Adults, kids, everybody, regardless of size, will be decently accommodated back here. The seats are pretty comfortable. If I want to get out, just push that, push it forward. Now, one thing I should have mentioned on this top of the line Lexus is we have like a 20-some speaker Mark Levinson system, and you can see 2 of them right here and a couple other bigger ones on the back right here. This thing is a party machine. It's got mega wattage. You can just pump this up and you can fill this whole park with sound if you want to. Again, let's try to kick thing, close it. Works every time. Nice job, Lexus, on that. And it actually closes pretty fast. This is only 6 passengers in this captain chair configuration. You can't get a bench in this hybrid plug-in. This entire console, which all it really is it holds cup holders, and if you want to take these cup holders out, you can, and just throw junk there. You got a little unlock switch there. You can move these around. And if you take this out, you got a nice little pass-through. It's not flat at all, of course, so it's not like you're going to get able to let your dog lay here or anything like that. Now, you also, as you would expect at this price point, these rear seats, or the 2nd row, are heated and cooled. Control all that right here. You also have 2 USB-Cs. You can throw your phone. Really nice right there. It's kind of a nice little touch. And you can access some of that 1,500 watts down here. Let's just talk about the interior for a while. All the materials are very Lexus-like. You would expect that. The overall vibe of this thing is, I didn't really like it when I saw it in photos. Even when I saw it for the first time and sat in it, it just seemed a little busy. But once you hang out with it a while, you understand the practicality and what Lexus was trying to do here. So all the fit and finish is outstanding. Both the driver and the passenger are treated to a multi-way power seat. You have adjustable up and down lumbar. You actually get decent bolsters. You can see this nice leather here perforated, and you get this nice little sort of Alcantara feel here, also along here. Again, let's go back to the seat here. You also get these nice little extensions if you have longer thighs. So it's all good in the comfort department, and you can see also some really clever storage down here and a nice big padded glove box right there. Just hopping into the driver's seat here, a couple more things on storage. This is sort of a bottomless pit. Oh, got some batteries down there. Don't want to forget those. This is a bottomless pit. It's dark, but it's padded, it's quiet, closes up really nice. And again, here's those fancy cup holders. I thought these were kind of gimmicky, you know, but it'd be nice to take these out and wash them, and you can adjust them. And even with the cup holders in there, you get room around here. You get some little nooks here. This is where you throw your phone for wireless charging. It's actually worked pretty good this week. I haven't had a whole lot of issues wireless charging. It will shift around a little bit, and you kind of have to adjust it. But you can tuck that away because you have even more storage down here, and you have another 12 volt down there, so that's pretty nice. Push it to come back, a little bit like a Tesla there. 3 USBs, only one has signal if you want to talk to your Apple CarPlay, and you have 2 buttons down here. You have a park assist, and this is where you control your camera view. You also have a little bit of a padded little coin catcher right there. Again, okay cup holder size in the doors there, but everything just feels really solid with a good thunk. Let me go ahead and start her up. My seat's going to move into the position that it was last in, which was mine. Goes through its whole thing. And I will point out that you have a motorized tilt and forward and aft adjustment on this very, very nice, thick, chunky, padded leather steering wheel that has 2-stage heating. Now, a couple things about the infotainment system here is this is a huge screen. So when you have Apple CarPlay up running, I could even make it bigger, or I can keep it in its default mode, which gives you access to all of the latest Toyota infotainment system. Toyota, Lexus, this is the same thing you'll see in your regular old Toyota, these menu systems. Once you start diving into these menus, they get pretty deep, so I'm not going to go through all of those. But the nice thing here is how responsive this is. Apple CarPlay has hooked up well this week, no issues there. Have multiple phones connecting to it. It kind of knows, and you can go in and easily select them. All of your climate kind of comes up here. You can go into deeper climate menus here, but you know, your seat heaters, your cooling seat, your steering wheel. Again, 2 levels of steering wheel heating, multiple levels of heating and cooling of the seats. You can sync to the left and right. You do have a nice little dial for temperature adjustment. I can live without the little color thing in there. It kind of takes away from the cool vibe, but you know, right is warm, left is cold. But anyway, that's right there. Volume button that feels decent. I would like that to feel a little bit better and be a little bit bigger. One other sort of area I'm not going to dive too much into is this digital gauge cluster. I think it's pretty busy. I'd like to see something a little simpler. You can change a few of the views here, but overall there's a lot of information going on here. You can go and do some customization. You also have a heads-up display that's going to throw some stuff up there, and if you sort of use these sort of haptic buttons, they're going to pop up top there. I'm not a fan of this. I've played with this all week. Fortunately, the stereo phone stuff you don't have to play with too much because you can just use your Apple CarPlay or whatever you're using. You can easily touch those things over here. On this side, though, you do have your cruise control stuff, which you can activate with these buttons and set the speed. It'll pop up there. The only thing you have to go into the menu for and slide around this is if you want to adjust your radar cruise control distance, is where you would go in there. So I'm not a big fan of this. I've found this very, very distracting, even though I'm kind of looking down the road. So I don't know, Lexus in their wisdom, maybe they know better. All right, let's go down here for a second for this shifter. This is another little thing. I have found this pretty clunky to use. Basically, it's got a simple diagram. You just pull it over to the left, pull it down into drive. pull it over to the left, put it up into reverse. If you want to put it in the park, you hit that button. I don't know why that has been clunky to me. It's just something you just have to kind of get used to. I'd say give me another week and I'd probably have this down with these directions and pulling it over. You can also, when you're drive, just pull it down in the sport, which is going to enable these paddle shifters. But to get out of sport, you're going to have to go over to neutral and then back to drive. So that's, again, a little bit awkward. Down here you have your brake hold when you're in traffic, and you have these two modes which we'll demo out on the drive. Oh, and one last thing to point out up here is, of course, everything's LED, kind of big visors with these extension kind of thing, so there's no like cheap flappy thing coming out of there. That's pretty nice. Sunglass holder. Again, a little bit of ambient lighting shining down here. Turn on those lights, all the cabin lights. And one of the big things as part of a extra package that come on here is this digital rear view mirror. This is a little odd to me, and I can see where it would be useful if you've got a lot of blockage of that back window. But the focus, your eyes going from here to there, you have to change focus. Whereas if you're just looking out the back, your eyes can focus the same. So it's a little strange, takes a little getting used to, but a nice little feature. Let's pop that back. This is the special part. Under the hood here, this is a very, very unique engine hybrid option. I haven't yet to see this. I think maybe Dodge or Chrysler with its minivan pairs a V6 with its hybrid, but this is the first time Toyota has done it. This is a 3.5 liter V6. This is Toyota's legendary V6, and they have paired it with their hybrid system. We have an eCVT here. If you go down to the TX350 or even the hybrid, you're going to get a 6 or 8 speed transmission, and you're going to get that 2.4 liter turbo in both of those. The 2.4 liter turbo has basically been the replacement for this V6 across Toyota and Lexus lineup. I would argue, after driving this for a week, this could be one of Toyota Lexus best drivetrains. Now you're going to get 404 combined horsepower between the 3.5 liter V6, the electric motors up on the front, and you have about 100 horsepower driving those rear wheels. But let's do the fun part. Let's get this out for a drive. I'll put the high quality binaural mics on so we can capture the sounds, or lack of sound, of this plug-in hybrid. Okay, so we're starting out here in EV mode. Before we get started, I would like to give a big hearty thank you to all of our subscribers and for you for pressing play today. And if you're not a subscriber, check out all of our content. If you like what you see, we'd love to have you along for the ride. Okay, EV mode. Okay, the one thing about EV mode is, well, you're not really sacrificing anything. I started out this morning in EV mode. I charged it up overnight. I had about 30 some miles. I'm down to 22. And the thing with EV mode is, well, it's very natural. It's 0 to 20, 0 to 30, 0 to 40, as you can see there. It's just fine. You're probably, I'm guesstimating, you have about maybe half the horsepower, but you got lots of torque, and yeah, it's actually pretty good. So yeah, accelerating up the highway speeds, 0 to 70, 0 to 60, yeah, that's going to be pretty slow, probably in the double digits. Now, even in EV mode, I can put her over here in sport. And when I am in sport EV, I get a tachometer, which is pointless because there's no way to get that engine to come on no matter how hard I press the gas pedal in EV mode. Now sport mode will stiffen the steering regardless of whether you're in hybrid mode or, you know, with the engine on. It basically just stiffens the steering a little bit, makes the throttle a little bit more responsive. But this is what really makes this car shine, is if you can plug this up at night, you can just tool around in EV mode and you feel like you're getting a pretty good decent performance out of this, because it is so silent. There's no transmission shifting. As you go about your daily chores, you just want a relaxing environment. You got other things on your mind, and that's where this comes in really handy. Now, I did take this out for a full range test. This week, the conditions have been pretty good for a EV. I mean, the temperatures have been to the point where I'm not running the heat or the AC. I did get close to the advertised 33 miles of range. But while we're in EV mode, let's talk about the other surprising thing with this big old 5,000 plus pound box, and that's how Lexus has sort of tuned the suspension to be on the firmer side of luxury. And what that does is it gives you really decent handling. This is actually, again, for a 3-row box, the handling is pretty flat. Not a huge amount of body roll other than what you would expect. So very, very confident. The steering is actually kind of quick, would I say? But you can see I can floaty boaty to the side here if I want to. But overall, this is not floaty boaty. And that's the big difference between something like this and the Grand Highlander, is Lexus did firm this up just enough. Now, this is not the handling champ in the lineup. You have to drop down to that hybrid non-plug-in, the F Sport. You're going to get 4-wheel steering. You're going to get adaptive dampers. So overall, I think they've tuned this just right. A great combination between ride quality and surprisingly nimble handling. This drives way smaller than it looks. And the other thing I should mention is that this is highly front-wheel drive bias. I think you get a little bit more balance. Actually, let me go change car. I think all-wheel drive. Okay. I think in EV mode, this has a really balanced torque split between front and back. However, when you do energize that V6, this becomes very, very front wheel drive, because that's where most of the power is going to be. So you can pick up that understeer, but here in just 4 wheels, all 4 wheels driving fairly equally. Here, let me just kind of goose it here, and you can see a little bit of front wheel there, more than the back, but yeah, it's pretty neutral when you're in EV mode. But that's not why we're here, because when you do deplete that battery, you will not be sad, because you can pop this over into, I am now in hybrid mode. Now, hybrid mode is where I'm going to basically operate like a hybrid. And again, it's pretty normal. It's going to use the battery as much as it can. But if I do need some boost, that V6 wakes up. It sounds awesome. It's that Toyota V6 smoothness, and that's a big differentiator here, is that this feels like a premium. For the first time, we have a premium feeling hybrid drivetrain in a Toyota Lexus product, because that V6 just sounds great. Now, I'll put the acceleration numbers up there. I did take this out for a couple 0 to 60 runs. I've seen numbers advertised about 5.9. I haven't actually looked at the data for this one, but I'm guessing it is about the same. So let's cut to that real quick. We do have it in sport mode. Let's go. $60. Yeah, so this thing has no issues hauling. Yeah, nice quick turn in there. Ho-ho-ho! Now, my one sort of neutral feeling about driving this is the brakes. You know, they've done a good job of making them feel as good as they can for a hybrid. They're still a little mushy to me. Pretty powerful, though. You get bite pretty close to the top. They just get a little non-linear and mushy. But overall, that's really kind of my only neutral sort of comment as far as how this drives. Now, don't get me wrong. This is still a big box I'm throwing around the corners, so... but it's just really, really good given the weight and the size. All right, as we work our way over to the highway, let's talk about fuel economy in this thing, and that's where this has been also very, very impressive. So I have been able to get or close to the advertised battery range with this week. You know, as the weather gets hotter or colder, that's probably going to come down. I think if you do all city stop and go driving, you're definitely going to see that range, and probably even more. If you try to take that on any kind of highway, you're going to drain that battery pretty fast and not get the 33 miles of range. The fuel economy, though, in hybrid mode has been excellent this week. I've seen, like right now, this morning, I'm seeing 36. Been driving about an hour on the meter here. I'd say most of the week it's been about 29, 28, even into the 30s on some trips. And I did take it out for about a 60-mile highway loop, and I saw 28. Now, if you're going to drop 80 plus grand on a TX, I would imagine that, you know, paying for fuel at the pump should not be a worry for you. So, you know, you have to weigh whether fuel economy is important. The other thing is, if you want this to be environmentally sound, well, you know, they built a 5,000-pound vehicle. This is not green in no way, despite it having a little bit of EV capability. So why would you do this then? Well, you do it because the drivetrain is so excellent, regardless of whether it's a plug-in or a hybrid or anything like that. This is just an excellent drivetrain. And I have to admit, even if you do have the coin to buy this and put gas in it, it's quite satisfying to see those fuel economy figures. Now, while we're waiting to get over on the highway here, let's talk about the other models in the lineup. You have that TX350, that's going to start in the high 50s. You know, by the time you put all-wheel drive on that and get some decent features, you can trick that puppy out into the low to mid 60s, and you're going to have the handling of this, you're going to have the quietness of this, you're going to have the build quality of this. You're just not going to have the pep. And I would say out on the highway, you're going to have equivalent fuel economy out of that 350. The hybrid is, to me, is a little bit of the odd dog out here, because you do get some better fuel economy than the 350. But man, the cost jumps up into the 70s really fast. And you can do that F Sport, which is going to give you the all-wheel steering. It's going to give you the adaptive dampers. I'm just not sure you need all that in a big 3-row box. You can trick out that 350 pretty nice, and you're going to save some serious money over this TX plug-in. And the thing with that 350 is it's going to be an excellent trip and highway car, just like this one is also. Okay, I am in EV mode here because I have 16 miles left. I'm going to try to get up to speed on the highway, and I'm giving her all she's got right now. 60. I'm keeping up with these normal drivers up here, just doing their thing, unlike me. Right around 70. Let's put this flow meter back on. Yeah, so the engine is actually on. So yeah, out on the highway, you're not going to be able to get away with EV mode. So anyway, let's go ahead and get out of that, back to hybrid mode. We are out on the highway, and boy, this is one of these vehicles, if you wanted to take a cross-country trip, this is going to excel. This is luxury quiet. I measured this probably about a dB quieter than something like a CX-90. However, it's dominated by wind noise. This is a big box flowing through the air, so it gets buffeted side to side. You're going to hear that air flowing over here. Engine noise, when it's in hybrid mode and the engine's coming on and off, you're not going to notice it. It's pretty stinking quiet. Road noise is almost about as good as I've heard in a vehicle. They have this thing so isolated with sound deadening materials. Even on these big 22s, road noise is just something you're not going to pick up in here. So between seat comfort, noise levels, that Mark Levinson stereo, this is just an incredible highway cruiser. You have great visibility. So this is definitely one of these cars where I'm like, yeah, I could see myself traveling across country in that. All right, let's get into some final thoughts here. So yeah, for 82 grand, you would expect this to be an excellent vehicle, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time driving Lexus big 3-row this week. Let's see, for shoppers in that $60,000 price range looking for a 3-row, well, the TX350 is definitely going to be on your shopping list if you want something a little quieter and a little bit more prestigious than the Grand Highlander. Again, if you watch my channel, you'll know that we do a lot of Mazda coverage here, so check out the CX-90 with its straight 6. It's going to be a lot firmer as far as overall feel and suspension. The Lexus is going to take the edge off of that a little bit. And if you're badge conscious, then you know, the Mazda's not going to do it for you. If you do have the coin, if you are got plenty of money to drop 80 grand on a 3-row, then yeah, definitely check this out. You owe it to yourself, especially, you know, if you think about something like an EV9 that's tricked out. It's going to be in the high 70s, getting into the 80K range. You don't want to do an EV, then this is something that's you can get that's going to be, I think, a little bit more versatile. Same thing with something like a Rivian. I think a Rivian shopper would definitely be cross-shopping it against this in that price range. And again, you're going to get a little bit more versatility here. So yeah, let us know in the questions and comments below what you think about shopping in this price range. Any questions you have about this big TX. Again, we spent a lot of time with this, enjoyed driving it this week, and got to know it pretty well. So thanks for coming along today. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like and share this. We'd also appreciate that. And as always, have a great day, morning or evening, wherever you may be.